Oh, what it do? It's your boy Merle. Today we got a story time about the devil that lives in Vegas. You already know this about to be a brazy ass story. So you make sure y'all subscribe, like, comment, all that, share, tell a friend. Y'all keep watching. Oof. Let's hop into the story. About 2 years ago, 2018, I had moved to Las Vegas from New York. And in New York, I had lived with one of my good friends. We had lived there together for like 6 months. And then I wasn't really feeling the situation or whatever the case may be. I'll get into another story time about that. I left New York and I moved to Las Vegas with my cousin. And this was a cousin who was like my sister. We grew up together. We're probably like a year and a half apart in age. So pretty much we have been like together since birth. Like I have siblings, but they're younger than me, and I didn't really grow up in the same household with them. So this was probably like my closest like sibling type of person growing up. And this person, we'll just call this person girl. We'll just call her girl because she definitely doesn't deserve a name. So, a girl, me and girl, we basically grew up together, like I said, our whole childhood, high school, throughout adulthood. And we used to be like dumb close, super, super, super close. I'm just trying to give y'all like a reference as to our relationship so you know like the severity of the situation. You got to know. So, we were like this, like super tight, whatever. Pretty much once we became like adults, after graduating high school and stuff like that, I've lived kind of all around America at this point. I like moved to LA, lived there for 4 years and all these other places and stuff like that. And she moved to Vegas, within the last few years. So we pretty much have lived apart from each other for like, I don't know, years and years and years at this point, but we still see each other and we'd always like talk on the phone and text and whatever the case. So fast forward, 2018, like I said, I left that situation in New York. I moved to Las Vegas with my cousin, with a girl, and this was like her apartment. So she has a child, she has a son, and her son live there together in like a 2-bedroom apartment. And at the time, there was like other people living there as well, like her best friend, a family friend, her mom ended up coming, and her mom's husband. And that's a whole, y'all know how black families are. Y'all already know it's a mess. So when I got there, pretty much all these people were there. And that, so pretty much we're at this, at her house. It's cool. I only wanted to be there for a short amount of time because I was just like, okay, like it's super cheap out here. It was Las Vegas. So, rent ain't shit. So I was like, oh, okay, I can get me a job. I ended up, getting a job really quickly and was like, oh, okay, like I'm gonna move out or get my own place or whatever. Her lease was ending. So since her lease was ending, we kind of came together and was like, all right, since we're like this close and we've never really lived together, this might be actually pretty dope, pretty fun. Let's get a place together. Kicking myself now for that shit. But so we kind of, well, it was mainly her because me, I already knew like I need to do my own thing. I had already, lived on my own for periods of time and stuff like that. So I was just like, I don't know about me in a roommate situation because like it just never kind of works out. But this was, like I said, like my sister, and I just thought it would be fun and stuff like that. She more so needed I don't want to say co-signer, but she more so needed an assistant or someone else to kind of help get her into another place because, her renting situation just wasn't the best. And I felt kind of for her because she has a son that I was close to at the time. And I was just like, oh, it's not that big of a deal. Like, I'll just get a place with her. So we started looking for places together and we had a realtor helping us. So that was fine. Every day after work, we're going to look for places and stuff like that. Now, mind you, we work. I don't know if you've ever been to Las Vegas. I think most people just think of like the strip and shit like that, but like people actually live there and there's like different sides of town. So where the strip is, that's kind of like the more inner city and like where everybody's at, and like the neighborhood wise is more of like the cheaper neighborhoods or like more urban, hood type of neighborhoods and stuff like that. It's still nice over there, but It's just more, it's just cheaper that way. And then on the other side of town, like Summerlin is more of like the, suburban areas and stuff like that. So we both worked in like Summerlin area. And her son went to school kind of like in the middle. So pretty much we kind of wanted to stay on like the Summerlin area, so we wouldn't be so far because at the time I had just like when I moved to New York, I sold my car. So, and I was only there for 6 months. So basically I sold my car for nothing, but whatever. And when I moved back, I didn't have a car. So it was like, of course, I could do Uber and public transit and stuff like that from, the house to my job. But we had to keep in mind that if we moved, we didn't want to move so far from our jobs or the location that we were starting at because one, I didn't have a car, and our jobs and her son's school was on the other side of town. So we don't, to be on time and shit like that. So I say all that to say, we started looking for places, and we were like we were looking at apartments, but we mainly were looking at like houses and stuff because when you live in like cheaper places like Vegas or the South or something like that, like super cheap rent for apartments, but super cheap rent for houses. And you can get a big ass, nice ass house for a little low. So we started looking at houses and all this type of stuff. And the main problem we were having this whole time was like the bedroom size, because I was like, well, I'm grown. I'm older than everybody who's gonna be living here. Me, you, and your son. I'm like, if I'm paying for something, I need to be like in a, enough space for a grown ass man. So, and of course, she felt like because she has a son and all that, she's a girl, she needs to have the biggest room. And that just wasn't really flying with me because I just was like, I'm grown too. I'm not about to be in a box. I'm not a kid. So we were kind of like, we weren't conflicting over that, but it was hard for us to find a place that had like two big enough rooms for two adults, and then plus like her child and stuff like that. So even the houses with multiple bedrooms, 4 or 5, whatever, all the rooms except for the master bedroom were like tiny. So fast forward, we ended up finding a place because we were on a time constraint because she had to move in a certain time, and she had limitations on to how she could move and stuff like that. So it was just like we're like rushing, and I hate rushing, especially to move and shit like that, because you always make mistakes or get into shit that you don't want to be in, hence the situation. So then after that, we ended up the realtor ended up like bringing us places, or a place that was on the opposite side of town. Now I was opposed to it, but she was like, I have a proposition. Because we're getting down to the wire, if I was to drive you like to work and home from work, because we work on the same side of town, would you, move that way? And then that way we can still have a nice big place and all that for the low, but I would still get to work and stuff like that. I wouldn't have to worry about trying to, get there on public transit and stuff because it was so far. So, she brought that proposition to me, and I was like, okay, cool. Like, I live for it. I mean, I was kind of skeptical at first because I don't like people doing stuff for me. I tend to do everything by myself. Like, if I can't do it for myself, I don't really want you like doing it for me, because then if some shit happens, you're gonna try to throw it up in my face later, and I can't deal with shit like that. Like, I get irritated and want to fight. So basically, against my better judgment, I was like, all right, for sure, I'll agree to it. Mainly, I'm thinking about her son and stuff because I had the money to get my own place. But I was just like, you know what? She did kind of guilt me because at the last minute, before we accepted that place, I told her, I was like, you know what, this is getting kind of stressful. And I see that, you have to find a place in a certain amount of time. And I don't want to be the reason why you don't have a place. So, I don't want the room situation to be a reason. So how about I remove myself from the situation? I just get my own place. You and your son can get any place now, and you can have whatever size room you want. Well, then it turned into, oh my God, why would you do that to me? Like, you're leaving me high and dry last minute and all this type of stuff. And I'm just like, oh, this is insane. Like, I'm damned if I do, I'm damned if I don't. So I ended up still going along with it. And we ended up signing the lease on a 5-bedroom house on the other side of town, kind of by the strip, by UNLV College, University, I mean, or whatever. But it was really nice, gated community, et cetera, et cetera. Cool. All right, 5-bedroom house. It was cool. Like, So one of the stipulations we had for me agreeing to the house, aside from her, taking me to and from work, her mom and her mom's husband were not allowed to be at our new house because now that I'm on the lease and this is partial my house, these hoodlum, crackhead, junkie, gangbang people can't be at my house causing a ruckus. They just were a mess, just endangering children, just all types of hood ass shit that I wasn't down with. Not to be in my like living situation. So we have made an agreement on that and everything. So when it comes time to move in, who's tagging along to move in right with us? Her mom. And I'm like, see, this is the bullshit I'm talking about. Like now your mom is here and she's like, oh well, I need my mom to help me get my son to school. And I'm like, okay, so her son only had school for like one more month. Like the month we moved in was like May 2018. Her son only had school throughout like May. I think June was like he was getting out of school in June. So she really only had to be there for a month. So I was like, all right, she can, she's already here now. Like she can be here till the month is up or whatever, but then she gotta go. Like there ain't no staying after or whatever. So we move in and stuff like that. I'm all excited. Like we're super excited. We're having like smoke sesh. We're just, I'm starting to think about like decorating. I like interior design and stuff like that. So I'm like designing my bathroom because we all have our own bathrooms. And, I'm starting to like think about ordering shit for my room, just everything. Not even like a few days later, I think it's like Mother's Day. Oh, before I even get to that, it's like her mom is there and her mom broke like the ceiling fan, like broke the string for the ceiling fan. Mind you, we live in an HOA as well. So like we have to pay for shit that's like fucked up, messed up on the property. So it's like she broke the ceiling fan cord and then her car, she was pulling her car into her driveway and it's like a bucket, which whatever, but her car was leaking oil. Mind you, like a HOA, you can't have oil in the driveway. You can't have like your grass a certain length. You can't have trash. You can't hang stuff. You can't do a bunch of shit. It's almost like an apartment, if you will. But so she leaked like all this oil in the driveway, and I went out there and tried to scrub it down one day, like all this shit. And then on top of that, she was like, oh, I'm having car problems and all that stuff. So she wasn't even taking the grandson or, girl's son to work. I mean, to school. So I'm like, what the fuck is this bitch doing here if she's not going to be taking him to school? That's the whole purpose of her being here. If she's not going to be helping us, and like we still were having to get up earlier than we normally had to take him to school too and drop me off and her go. It's like we had to do so much every morning. And the mom is just sitting there coasting, going to the liquor store, getting faded, whatever she do, doing her drugs. I don't know. So I can't deal with shit like that. So, of course I'm speaking up. I'm like, what, your mom? Like, she gonna have to figure out a situation. Like, this ain't really cutting it. Like, she's not even helping. She gotta go. And my cousin wanna act all ditzy and like, oh, well, my mom. And I'm like, yeah, it's your mom, but she's a grown ass adult and you are not her caretaker. Like, you are not responsible for her doing whatever the hell she wants to do. And now you live here with somebody else. At your apartment, I didn't say nothing because it was like, I'm staying here too. It's not my place. I'm not on the lease. I'm not paying no rent technically or whatever. So it's like, I don't have no say. But in my place, she can't be here in the type of shit that her and her husband be doing. Especially, why would you even want that around your son? Like, come on, mom. A few days pass and it's like Mother's Day or like around Mother's Day or something shit like that. A girl ends up going out of town with her homegirl to like a concert or something. They end up going to like California to go to like this music festival or something like that. I end up not going. She ended up leaving her son. Now, before anybody leaving their kid, especially in my vicinity or anything like that, I'm like, screw, hold up. What's the plan with him and stuff like that? Let me know because your mom is not responsible. Like, and you know that, but I just want to make sure we're all on the same page so there ain't no shit coming out later. So basically I came to her like, oh, what's going on with your son or whatever. Oh, my mom is watching him. Like, I don't even know where you're asking. Like, she got it. She ain't worried about it. Like, and I'm like, are you sure? Like, I don't want to hear nothing. Like, why are you tripping? Like, she got it. My mom watching him. I'm like, Okay, okay. She goes to this concert, goes out of town, whatever, leaves the son. Her mom is there. Cool. I had plans that day, mind you. So, I'm sitting there like, okay, getting ready for my day or whatever. And her mom is like, she's going somewhere. Or I don't even think she tells me. Or maybe she does tell me the first time. I don't remember that part. But, anyways, she's like, she's going to the store. And I'm like, a crackhead. They liars. So I'm just like, okay. So she ends up like going, I guess like leaving and stuff like that or whatever. And then it's like kind of taking her a minute to come back because I'm like the store like should only take you like 20 minutes max. So I'm like, and the store technically is like up the street. So and like a bunch of stores. So it shouldn't even take you 20 minutes, but I'm gonna give you 20 minutes. So it was taking her like, I don't know, it was like an hour, 2 hours or something. I was like, damn, but I'm getting ready, so I'm not really so pressed about it. But I'm starting to get nervous. Like, is she coming back? She's not saying anything to me, nothing. So then, right when I'm starting to get irritated and about to like try to call her and figure out what's going on, she comes back. She's like, oh, I'm back, whatever, whatever. So I'm like, okay. So mind you, I'm telling girl's son, my little cousin or whatever, I'm telling him like, you know, make sure, you clean your room and stuff like that. Cause he needed to clean his room and stuff like that. Make sure he get in the shower and shit like that. Cause he's a young 10-year-old, 11-year-old boy. He's worried about Fortnite. He ain't worried about washing his ass or cleaning his room and shit. So somebody gotta be on him. And the grandma or, whatever, she is just, like I said, like a crackhead. She ain't worried about nothing. So I'm trying to, be on him, whatever. He's playing his game, trying to make sure he's doing his shit, whatever. And over here, girl's mom telling my little cousin, like something, talking to him about something. I'm like, she ain't slick. So basically, she ends up leaving, but she doesn't tell me. She doesn't say nothing to me. So I'm like, these motherfuckers think I'm stupid, boo boo the fool. Like, you need to communicate with an adult when you're dealing with kids and stuff like that. Like, don't be just communicating with a child. I'm the one who has to take care or watch him if you're not here when you're supposed to be watching him. So he needs to be going wherever you're going. Act like I'm not here because I'm about to leave. Like, what are you doing? So I go up to him, my little cousin. I'm like, where's your grandma? Like, what happened? He's like, oh, she said she's going to the store. She'll be right back or whatever. And I'm like, okay. So then I wonder, did I call her? I think she was like, she's going to the store. Like, she'll be back, all this type of stuff. So I'm like, okay. This was early in the day. Like, I don't know, it's probably morning time, probably like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock maybe. I ended up canceling my plans because this bitch never came back. Just never. Just abandoned her own grandson and everything. And I'm like, you old crackhead, junkie bitch. Like, I don't even call my cousin all day. I let that pass. I'm just like, you know what? I'm talking to my best friend. I'm talking shit. I'm irritated because I'm like, see, this is exactly why I didn't want to deal with no shit. Like, it's like later. It's probably like 7 hours later. And mind you, I don't have no car at this time. So where we're at, it's a kind of far walk to walk for food and stuff like that. And I'm a part-time vegan. So the only food I had at the house like was for myself. And it was like vegan food and stuff like that. So I'm like, how am I supposed, because these young people, I mean, I'm young too, but they don't be having food in their fridge and shit. So her and her son ain't got no food to eat. So I'm like, well, damn, like I could, of course, could have gotten an Uber and went to do all that, but it was just doing a lot. And I was like, I'm not really trying to walk to the store to go get him something to eat because it's so far. So I'm like, damn, I gotta try to make him something that I have like out of some bread, like just get creative, whatever. Because how is he supposed to? His grandma done left him for dead when she's supposed to be taking care of him. Finally, once it gets later in the day, I'm calling my cousin, like, I'm not trying to bother you at the festival and stuff like that. Like, I know you're having a good time, but your mom like left your son and she is nowhere to be found. That's when I knew like I needed to get out of that situation because this bitch gonna be like, well, he's always home by himself. Mind you, I've lived with her for months already at this point. So I'm like, no, he hasn't. But my son is always at home by himself. And what are you tripping off of? Like, you don't need to stay there with him. You could just leave. And I'm thinking to myself, like, your son literally every day comes to your room, knocking on the door, like, Mom, are you gonna feed me tonight? So no, I'm not about to just leave your son here for dead. Like, he already don't be eating or getting proper meals and getting looked after carefully when you're here. So I mean, I'm not trying to tell anyone how to parent. I'm not trying to call anyone a bad mother. But, it was just kind of fishy to me that you're trying to get upset with me because I'm trying to be an adult and tell you that your mom left your son at the house all day by himself, and I had to cancel my plans to be there with him, to make sure that he's okay, to make sure that he gets up and washes his ass, to make sure that he does eat or whatever. Like, hello, he's a little kid. So then I was just irritated after that because I'm just like, oh, y'all, both y'all hoes got me fucked up. Like, I'm getting out of this ghetto ass situation. So that transpires. The mom ends up coming back home, like probably like an hour, 2 hours later. So it's probably like 8, 9 o'clock at this point. So it's been a whole day. She finally comes home, and what she thinks she's slick by doing is like she calls the little, my little cousin. She calls her grandson and is like, let me in the door because I told that bitch she can't have a key. Fuck no. So she called him, and I heard when his phone was ringing, he was talking to her. And I went up to him and I was like, don't you let her in that house. Don't you open the door. Like, this ain't, you're a kid. You stay in here. I will handle this. So she's standing at the door. We have like a window or like a decorative like window on the door so you can see through it. Well, somewhat. And I'm like, I could see her through the window, and I turn on the porch light or whatever, and I'm just standing there, just like thinking to myself, like, all right, woosah. So I open the door, but I only crack it, so my head is sticking out, and I'm like, where were you? And she's looking at me crazy, mind you. She's like, I don't know, her 40s or whatever. And she's looking at me crazy. And I'm like, where were you? What do you mean, where was I at? And I'm like, where were you? You left your grandson for dead. No, I didn't. I told him was coming back. See, I'm back. And I'm like, all fucking day. I was like, he didn't eat. You didn't check on him. Nothing. And she was like, oh my God, he didn't eat. Did you feel? And I'm like, you know what? You crackhead bitch. This is it. Like, this was the final straw. You got, till whatever. Because at this point, her and her husband or whatever were talking about moving out on a certain day earlier than the time that we gave them. We gave them till the end of the month. They said they were moving like the 12th. So it was like halfway throughout the month. I don't know, whatever. So basically, I told her, I said, okay, you said you were leaving on this day, whatever, on Tuesday or whatever. That's the day that you're leaving. That's that. Like, you're not staying here past that day. I don't care about nothing else. Like, just make sure all your shit is packed up and you're out of here. I'm basically giving her this whole speech or whatever, but she's trying to be argumentative or whatever in my house. So I'm just like, ooh, child, like, can't deal. So I'm not even calling her out of her name or anything like that because at the end of the day, like, she's still like an elder, so I don't want to. I just know, like, once you go that level with certain people, you have to deal with like other people in your family and stuff like that. And it's not that I really give a damn, but then it's also like I just don't want to deal with nobody altogether. Like, I just don't want to hear about it. I don't want to talk about it. I just don't want to deal with it. So I'm not going to disrespect you by calling you out your name, but I am going to put you in your place, especially when you're in my house that I'm paying for, bitch. And when it comes to kids, like, you so worried about being high and drugs that you are leaving kids for dead. Like, and the fact that your daughter, the mom of this child, is like, oh, well, just goes to show the apple don't fall from the tree. Yeah, so then after that, basically, I go up the stairs because I'm just like, I'm not an argumentative person. Like, I'm just going to tell you what it is. And that's that. Like, if you want to go back and forth with me, I'm going to shut down and I'm just not going to say anything. I'm going to ignore you because if I end up engaging back with you, it's not really much of an engagement. Like, I'm just like, I don't want to say I'm a hothead because I'm not. I'm very calm and like chill 90% of the time. But if you like pester me or try to be argumentative, I'm not really good with that. Like, it just makes me irritated and I just react. So I'm just gonna hit you. And I don't wanna hit no woman and all that type of shit. So I'm not gonna argue with you. So I'm just gonna remove myself from the situation, go up the stairs to my room, and go close the door. As I'm going up the stairs, she calls me a bitch. I don't know. I must have had socks on or something because I flew. I flew back down them stairs and was like, you raggedy bitch, you crackhead junkie hoe, get the fuck out of my house and get all your shit and get out right now. Like, I was going in, whatever. I made her ass leave. She didn't take her shit, so I was irritated about that. Then, now my cousin wants to call me upset because I done went off on her mom. And I'm like, but you're not upset about your son being left for dead all day and your mom worried about being a junkie bitch and not feed it. Like, you're worried about the wrong things. This is your problem too. Like, after that whole situation, I just was done. I was like, we can have a good living situation. We just don't need the drama all up and through our house, period. So we got a nice, beautiful 5-bedroom house, and it's already getting wrecked, and we got unwanted house guests who aren't even contributing. It's just, everything was a mess. Once we got to that point, she comes back, we talk about it. She just acts like she doesn't want to be involved. Like, I mean, you're almost 30, girl, and you act like a 15-year-old. Like, oh, I don't want to. Grow up. Like, speak up, grow up, learn how to have conversations, learn how to deal with shit when it's presented to you. It's like, well, I don't want to deal with it. That's between you and my mom. If it's between me and your mom, then it's between nothing, because she's not even supposed to be here, like I'm saying. And you're just being, oh, well, nonchalant about it. Like, tell your mom to get her shit, or it's going to go in the trash. And basically, once I made that threat, then it's like, oh my God, you're being dramatic. Da, 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 da. I'm like, no, you need to have her come get the shit. This isn't the free storage. And we've talked about this. She's not even supposed to be here. And she had a certain amount of time to get her stuff. She ain't got it. Of course, I didn't throw it away because I'm not a mean person, but I'm like, I'm starting to get irritated now that, she's coming and going as she put, no, Eventually, her and the husband came, got the stuff. It was a big blowout. They argued with my cousin outside. After that situation happened, I'm thinking, okay, we got rid of the cancer. We cut it out. That was the problem. Now it's cool. Me, my cousin, and her son are about to live in this big ass house, and just live our best life, decorate, and just have a grand old time. Okay, it's only literally, this is the same month, May 2018. This all happened within a month. It's like Memorial Day weekend. Now, she ends up, like, we had talked about like going out or making plans or hanging out with like her homegirl and stuff like that. I think like the day before we talked about that. Well, Memorial Day came, or the weekend or whatever came, and she basically was like, oh, I got plans, like I'm out. Like, and we had dropped her son off to like her baby dad's family or whatever. So he wasn't even with us. So that was cool. So she basically, I guess, ditched me out the plans to go do her own thing with the friend or whatever. I don't know. I found out later why, but because the bitch thinks she's slick. I just was like, okay, bitch, like, you want to disinclude me from the plans and stuff like that. I didn't even bring it up. I didn't say nothing about it. I didn't make no big deal because I'm not the type of person. I'm just like, I just remember shit. I'm just like, okay, I remember that. Like, you acting funny, but it's okay. So, I'm just at home. I'm chilling, like smoking, just on the phone with my best friend at the time. She calls me, my girl, she calls me and is like, first I know her very well, so when you're not supposed to be doing something because you try to be slick about it. So she calls me and she's like giggling and try to be giddy and shit, like cutesy. Oh, well, I'm on my way back home and like somebody's with me, ha 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 ha. And I'm like, what are you talking about? Like, who's with you, whatever. And she's like, so and so. Now, this so and so person growing up used to be my best friend. We were like very close, like brothers, like we did everything together. He ended up like going to jail when we were like 16 years old. So he was in jail pretty much from like my teenage years to like till I was like 25. He been in jail, like 25, 26. Like, he been in jail that whole time. He was in jail and stuff like that. Obviously, I was young too, but once I got to college age and stuff like that, like, we communicated. I went to go see him, write him letters every week, whatever. And me and my best friend at the time, my other best friend, we were all friends together. So it was me, her, and him. Me and my best friend, the girl best friend, we would go see him, like visit him and shit. So it was just all this stuff, whatever. It came a point in time like where he got upset one time over the phone, and we just didn't really speak anymore. He didn't really speak to neither one of the friends, me or the girl best friend. I always thought about him and stuff like that, but I'm like, I'm not about to kiss nobody's ass. Like, he the one in jail, he the one, whatever, and he want to act like a dick towards the only people who care about him, essentially. So, I move on with my life, go forward. He gets out of jail within the last couple years. He reaches out to everybody we know except for me. Mind you, none of these people gave a fuck about him while he was in jail. Nobody wrote him. Nobody went to go see him. Nobody cared. Nothing. But your best friend, like the main person that was with you day in, day out, doing all this shit with you, whatever, getting into all this trouble, whatever, you don't reach out to me. I ended up finding out because I'm gay, or now he knows I'm gay or whatever. So he don't like me because I'm gay. So I'm like, oh, that's real messed up. Like, that's a hurtful thing, especially with somebody that you are so close to. And it's like, these people don't even give a damn about you, never gave a damn about you, but you kissing all they ass and want to be all in their face. But the person, it's like your brother, you not rocking with me because I'm gay or whatever. Okay. And I'm like, you just was in jail for like 10 plus years. I'm like, that's probably why, because he was in there getting his dick sucked and all that type of stuff, like on the DL. So it's like being around somebody gay is gonna remind you of that, I guess. That's my theory. He didn't want to be around me or talk to me, whatever, because I'm gay, whatever. Okay, cool. Like, I don't deal with him. Like, like I said, he talked to everybody. So he talked to my cousin, he talked to my girl best friend, all that type of stuff. He was talking to everybody around me. That's how I knew all this stuff, because they would tell me all the stuff. I was just like, oh, okay, like, fuck him. And that's what it was. So when my cousin calls me, like, I have somebody with me, it's so and so. And I'm like, so and so, why is he coming to our house? Like, he doesn't care for me or whatever. So it just, why is he coming over? And she's like, well, da da da. So then I'm like, well, no, he can't. Like, he can't come over. The hell? Like, I'm about to have somebody who doesn't like me in my house, especially who doesn't like me for my sexuality in my house. Like, that's out. And then I'm like, he can come, cause she's like, oh, well, I just want to, like, he's just going to come while I come change. I just want to change my outfit. And I'm like, he can come sit in the car in the driveway or whatever. If you're just going to change your outfit, like, why does he need to come inside? So she's arguing me down or whatever. Mind you, she is the main person who was telling me all this stuff about why he don't talk to me and stuff like that. Like, talking about how it's so fucked up and all this type of stuff. But now you're trying to invite this person into my home, smiling and grilling in my face. So she basically was arguing with me and stuff like that. And I'm like, I don't care what you say, you delusional girl. He's not coming inside. And if he comes inside this house, I am moving. And that's the end of that. Oh, well, he's coming inside. You're not about to tell me. Da 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 da. And that's that. So I'm like, okay. So they end up, she ends up bringing him in the house. Of course, she doesn't even bring him in just to change or nothing. They in the house smoking, chilling, hanging out, a big old whole thing. So I'm like, oh, okay, or whatever. Cool. All right. After that situation, that same day, while they're still there, I reach out to our property management company, our realtor and stuff like that, letting them know, like, this ain't gonna work. Like, we gonna figure this out so where I can get out of this situation, but this isn't gonna work and I'm gonna be moving. Simple as that. I let them know right up front because, you gotta have a paper trail and you gotta keep people informed, communication and stuff like that. There's no, not trying to be sneaky or nothing. Let's just do this the right way so everybody can be happy. Like, she ends up finding out, it's like the next day or something, and she basically comes to me like, oh, what's your problem? Like, are you serious right now? And I'm like, how I am. I don't joke. I'm like dead ass serious. You disrespected me, like, by having this person who doesn't like me, especially doesn't like me because of my sexuality, in our home. Like, so now I don't feel comfortable in the home because I don't know who the hell is going to be there. I don't know if you're going to be bringing people that want to fight me. Why are you even, I'm not even hanging out with nobody that doesn't like you, but I'm not telling you who you can and can't hang out with. You can do whatever you want to do, just not in the house or whatever. So she, she's just being a dumb blonde like she always is. And I'm just like, girl, you always want to act delusional so shit can be in your favor because people like to kiss your ass because you had a child at 14, 15 years old. And I'm like, I'm sorry to break it to you, but that was your pussy. I didn't tell you to be fucking and doing all that at 15, 14 years old, getting pregnant. Raw, like, that's ain't got shit to do with me. So I don't have the sympathy that these old ass people in our family got for you. I don't. Like, I'm just gonna treat you accordingly. And since you wanna act like a dumbass little kid, I'm gonna treat you like that. And I'm going to show you how adults operate. So literally, I, told her what it was, and that's what it was. I think it was like a couple days passed or whatever. Because at this point, she's still taking me to work and stuff like that. So I'm like, okay, I'm not even making no problems. I'm just quiet, keeping to myself. Like, I was still planning on moving, but I was just like, I'm not even like pressing the issue. I'm just gonna take it day by day kind of and see what's going on. But I still was just like, I didn't feel comfortable being around and stuff like that. Like, it just was like a terrible situation in my eyes. I just felt disrespected as a man. So after that, like one day, I don't know, it was like something, we kind of like saw something driving home, and it kind of made us both laugh, I guess. And since we both laughed, I guess she felt that was her way to get back in and like get back cool with me or comfortable, or like everything was okay. And so when we get in the house, you know, she's just like, I know you got some weed up there, like, let's smoke or whatever. You've been acting funny the last couple of days. Let's smoke, stop acting funny, whatever. Like, everything is cool, trying to joke and play. And I'm like, I hope you don't think I was playing. Like, girl, I don't rock with what you did, and I'm moving. I'm still leaving. It doesn't matter what you're trying to do right now. I don't know. She didn't think I was serious before because she got like all in her feelings, and she was like arguing with me. And like I said, I can't really deal with like arguing with people, so we're getting heated back and forth. And she's just like, it was just certain things that I was just like not getting through to her. Like, it's almost like you're talking to a brick wall. So it was so frustrating. Like, I was telling her, she has two best friends, or she had two best friends that didn't talk to her at the time, or they didn't talk to each other. They had fallen off, or, you know, whatever. They had a problem, an issue at the time. They didn't like each other at that moment. Just to kind of give you context, I was like, you know, if this person and this person, if I had brought them over to our house, whatever, how would you feel about that? You would be, you know, you would be upset, wouldn't you? You wouldn't like that. And she's like, no, I sure wouldn't. Like, I would be mad. I would be upset. So then why are you not understanding how you having this person in our house makes me feel? This is the same thing as if I had these two people in your house, in the house, which I wouldn't do, you know, because I know that you don't rock with them. So like, what? She just still was just, it's like she understood that point. Like, it's almost like, you can't do what I can do. Like, I can bring whoever I want, but you can't bring whoever you, well, you know, it's just like that type of dumb ass, childish ass shit. She just want to run shit, and she don't run shit. So it was just like frustrating. She ended up saying that she wasn't taking me to and from work anymore. And that's the straw that broke the camel's back, because I was like, bitch, the only reason why I even agreed to help your non-renting ass was because you made the proposition to take me to and from work. That was the only reason why I even am here to begin with. So now that you're not going to do that, bitch, I hope you burn in hell, period. And after that, I figured out my situation. You know, I just dealt with the realtor and the property management company. I didn't deal with her. I didn't deal with her for the bill. Like, she wanted to have the AC on all day when people are not home. Mind you, it's Vegas, so it's very hot. But if you're going to have the AC all day, that's not what I agreed to. And we talked about this prior to moving in together. Now you're switching up and you want to be running shit. Okay, you're going to be responsible for that. I'm not about to be paying half a high ass AC bill and no one's even home. Why is it running when no one's home all day? We're not home for like 10 hours. You know, so now it's just like, we got a high ass bill, and who's gonna pay that? And then you're gonna be looking at me like, well, you gotta pay. And that's not the case, period. So after that, or whatever the case may be, we get into it. She's like, oh, she's not taking me to work and all that. I'm like, okay, I got you, bitch. So I, you know, gotta start getting myself to work. So I had to take like 3 buses to and from, I think it was 3 buses to and from work. So it took me 3 hours to and from work. So a total of 6-hour travel time in 114-degree weather. If you've ever been to Vegas, you know it's nothing but desert, dry heat. So just imagine walking miles, being on a bus, standing on a bus stop, going to another bus stop, walking some more, all this stuff for 3 hours, you know, per trip, per commute to and from work. And it was like starting to really get to me, because it's like, I'll do whatever I gotta do for money and, you know, get to work and stuff like that. I'm an adult, but I just was like, ooh, you's a raggedy bitch, because I would never do no shit like that. The next month passed, and I did it for another month. I had so many like vacation days and PTO days, sick days or whatever. I started like basically calling out of work. Like, I can't make it to work today. I just don't feel good, because I was starting to like really get sick or just not feel well with all that travel time. I mean, I would have to get up at like 5 o'clock in the morning and start traveling to work. And it's 5 o'clock in the morning. It's already like, you know, 80, 90 degrees outside. So it's just like, and it's like dry heat. So it was just like so much or whatever. And I was just getting heated, more heated every day. I'm dealing with the property management company. I'm trying to deal with her. Like, oh, I want to make this a nice transition for you. Even though she did all this stuff to me, I still was like, let's find somebody that you want to move with to take over my half of the lease. Let's find you a sublease. Let's find somebody that you want to move with, a friend, your choice of roommate, whatever the case may be. I still was being cooperative, trying to make it easy for her. Because mind you, when we got into the argument the first, or, the last time or whatever, she's like, oh, I got two people that have been trying to move into your spot. We've been waiting for you to go, all this type of stuff. And I'm like, oh, you've been waiting for me to go? You got two people to move in and take over my spot and all that? Cool. So then fast forward, we trying to find somebody to take over those people, and now we have nobody to take over. Why are you doing this to me? Like, why are you doing this to me and my son? And I'm like, girl, I am not doing nothing to you. You did this to yourself. What happened to them people that you had to take over my spot, right? Right, bitch. I'm like trying to move the process along because I'm about to move regardless. I didn't care about nothing they was talking about. I'm like, I'm moving at the end of the month or, at this date or whatever. You gonna have to figure it out. I'm out the situation. It is what it is. I don't care. Like, I started finding people, on like Craigslist. I started making posts and stuff like that to take over my half of the lease or whatever. Long story short, she was just ignoring me. Every time I try to talk to her about business, about the living situation or whatever, she's just ignoring me. She's not responding anymore, not responding to calls, not responding to texts, nothing. She's not coming home. So she's starting to go to her friend's house a lot. So I'm not even seeing her. So I'm just like, oh, okay, bitch, like, you really want to play around. So then I think I'm still, I'm being an adult. I'm trying to be civil with her. I'm still texting her people like that are interested and stuff like that. I'm trying to vet these people for her. One day she finally like responds and is like, why the fuck do you keep sending people to me? Like, what are you doing? I'm not living with no stranger and all this type of stuff. Like, and I'm like, I'm moving. So you need to get past me staying here. I'm moving. I'm leaving. You need to figure out your solution. And this is your problem. You're so like simple minded. That was pretty much the last thing I had talked to her about because she just didn't respond to nothing else. And like, work came to a point where I couldn't do that anymore because I was trying to not even really leave Vegas. I just was like, all right, I don't want to quit my job or nothing. I'm just gonna like get another place. But I had to figure that out as well. Mind you, I'm like paying rent at that place. I have to like try to have the deposit and stuff like that for another place or, whatever the case may be. So it was just like a lot at once. So at that point, I was just like, you know what? I'm just gonna have to I'll change my situation. I ended up quitting my job and just was like telling them like I can't do this every day because now I'm having excuses every day. Like, I was lying and doing all types of shit. Like, one of my excuses was like I was really on the way to work and the bus like broke down. So since the bus broke down, and I just was like, you know what? I'm not even gonna attempt to wait for the next bus and still go to work. Like, it's hot, I'm tired. I'm just about to go home and tell them a different story. So I called work and let them know like somebody pulled out a gun on the bus, was trying to shoot us up. So they done pulled us over, like a whole scenario. I was just doing that a lot. I was like sick, making up all these excuses and shit. I was just like, you know what? It's just time for me to go. Like, this situation is not gonna get any better or whatever. So I ended up, resigning from that job and I ended up moving back home. And I haven't spoken to her. Well, I did speak to her like a few, I want to say like within like the next few weeks I spoke to her because once I left and she really saw that I left, it finally clicked in her head like, oh shit, I gotta figure out a situation. I gotta figure out what I'm gonna do. So she basically, I guess, tried to go to my grandpa or whatever to get help, reaching out to me for like some paperwork or a written statement type of thing or whatever, notarized statement or whatever. So, and that was that. Like, and that was the last time I spoke to her. So that was 2018. I ain't spoke to the bitch since. Like, I took her off of all my social medias and stuff like that. I haven't been following her for years now at this point, but she called herself trying to like, this was recently, like last year sometime at the end of last year, she caught herself trying to like one of my pictures or something. And I'm like, how are you even still on my shit, bitch? Block. Like, I don't want you seeing nothing I got going on. I don't want you talking about me, knowing nothing about me, like nothing. So that was the time I lived with the devil in Vegas. I don't talk to certain people no more or whatever. I just don't even like to deal with nobody who just don't got no common sense. It don't matter, family, friend, teacher, whoever. If you ain't got no common sense, I can't rock with you. And that bitch is dumb. It's just so damn dumb. If you like that story, make sure you give me a thumbs up, comment down below, subscribe to my channel, check out my Spotify playlist, SoundCloud, on my social media in the description box, and I'll see you in the next one.